Hello, everyone! In this session, we are going to explore the independent inventory use process in Onfinity Enterprise Resource Planning. This process is essential for tracking internal consumption of inventory, and it's important for understanding how to maintain it within the system. Let's start by looking at the agenda for today's session. We will begin by understanding what independent inventory use is and why it's important. Moving on to the objectives of this session, the objective is to enable you to understand the independent inventory use and its associated terms in the context of business processes. It also enables you to test the independent inventory use process in the context of business requirements. Now, let's review the prerequisites. Before we can begin using the independent inventory use process, a few things need to be set up first. First, you must have access to Onfinity platform with a valid user ID and password. Second, the tenant and organization configurations must be completed and available. These are important so that you can log in and access the modules to create inventory use transactions. Now let's understand what independent inventory use actually is. Companies use their inventory mainly for production, like raw materials, or for distribution as merchandise. But there is also inventory consumption for various internal needs, such as for spare parts or fuel. This type of inventory consumption is called internal consumption. In Onfinity, to record the internal consumption of goods or services, we use the inventory use screen. This screen allows you to document and track inventory movements that are not related to sales or production. Once the concept is clear, it is important to identify the process flow configuration task. To record an inventory use, here are some more things that must be set up in the system. These include the document type, warehouse and locator, product, unit of measure, and charge. These configurations are essential for generating document numbers, recording transactions accurately, and updating inventory quantities. Let's now move forward to the independent inventory use case. To illustrate inventory use further, let's consider a real-world use case to get a better understanding and to see how inventory use actually works step by step. Sonic Ventures is awarded a critical project with a tight deadline. The IT department realizes that additional smartphones are urgently needed to support and test the new mobile application for the project. The project manager identifies the urgent need for 2 smartphones for the project and communicates the requirement directly to the inventory manager. The inventory manager at Sonic Ventures identifies the need and, based on the urgent requirement, creates an inventory use. Before moving ahead with the use case, let's first take a look at the independent inventory use process flowchart, showing the lifecycle of an independent inventory use transaction. The process of an independent inventory use transaction begins with identifying the need, which is initiated through the inventory use screen. Next, the relevant inventory records are updated, and the transaction goes through the necessary approval process. Once the inventory use record is completed, stock levels are automatically adjusted to reflect the consumption, marking the completion of the process. This ensures that internal consumption is accurately tracked and properly documented within the system. Now, let's understand the independent inventory use case execution. Since this is an urgent consumption requirement, the inventory use is generated immediately, and the inventory in the warehouse is updated to reflect the usage. The inventory use details the movement date, warehouse, source detail for receiving location, and the detail of the received product with quantity. This allows users to have visibility into internal inventory movements and ensures that resources are available for critical projects. Now that we have covered the concept of independent inventory use and its purpose, let us move into the Onfinity system to see step by step how an inventory use transaction can be created and processed. To begin, open the Onfinity link in your browser. Log in using your user ID and password. Enter your valid user ID, then enter your password, and then click on Login to access the Onfinity system. After logging into Onfinity, you'll arrive at the homepage of Onfinity with various mosaics. These display real-time information, though some may appear empty because no relevant transactions have been recorded yet. You can ignore the empty mosaics for now. To begin with our use case, let's navigate to the Inventory Use screen. You can either search directly by entering Inventory Use in the menu search, or navigate through Material Management. Under the Material Management module, select Storage Operations, where you will find the Inventory Use option. Click on Inventory Use to open the screen. This will bring you to the landing page, which includes screen-specific mosaics. These mosaics can be used to filter records, view existing entries, or add a new inventory use record directly from the landing page. Here you will see the Advanced Search mosaic. You can define additional advanced searches, which can later be used to filter out records. Since we haven't created any inventory use records yet, there are no values displayed along with the Advanced Search hyperlink filters for now. Once you create a record, the Warehouse mosaic and the Document Status mosaic will also display values with hyperlinks based on the selected warehouse and the document status. These can then be used for filtering. We also have another mosaic called the Material Issue form. This mosaic can be used to open the Material Issue form, from where you can directly create either a material transfer or an inventory use record, instead of navigating through the main screen. The record created from this form will still get updated in the respective screens. We will cover the Material Issue form in detail in a separate session. On this landing page, you will also notice two charts. The first one is Top 10 Products with Expiring Stock in 30 Days. This chart highlights the items that are nearing their expiry within the next 30 days. The second chart is Top 10 Highest Stock Products. This displays the products with the highest stock levels currently available across your warehouses, based on your login access. Now let us go ahead and create a new inventory use record. To do this, simply click on the New Record mosaic. This will open the inventory use screen where we can begin entering the details step by step. To begin creating the record, first select the organization where the item will be consumed. Next, choose the warehouse of that organization from which the product will be taken out. For our example, we will select the Sonic Ventures warehouse, from which the product will be used. After that, we need to select the document type. Here, you will notice that the system provides internal use inventory as the default document type, which is used for processing consumption transactions. The inventory use number will be generated automatically. This number is created either from the default transaction sequence available for the transaction, or if a transaction sequence is linked to the document type, then the number will be generated based on that. Finally, enter the movement date, which represents the date on which the product is being consumed. In the description field, we can optionally enter a description for the transaction. This field is purely for information and has no functional impact. It may also be left blank if not required. Next, we can see the Document Status field. This indicates the current status of the transaction, whether it is in draft, in progress, or completed. At this stage, we need to save the header of the transaction. To do this, simply click on Save Record, and the header information will be saved. Apart from these fields, you will also notice a set of process buttons available at the Header tab. These buttons are used to insert lines into this inventory use transaction. The Create Lines from requisition allows us to add lines directly against an existing requisition. If a requisition has already been created, you can use this button to open the Create Lines from form and select the relevant requisition. For now, we will close this form, as this process will be covered in detail in an upcoming session, where we will demonstrate how to create an inventory use directly against a requisition. Next, we have another process button to create lines, which is the Create Line from Cart button. By clicking this button, the Create Lines from Cart form will display the list of available carts that have already been created. From here, you can select the required cart and insert the products into your inventory use transaction. This functionality will be explained in detail in a separate session. where we will cover how created carts can be utilized across various transactions. We also have the Create line from Work Order button. This process is part of the Service and Maintenance module, known as Field.ai in Onfinity. In this scenario, inventory use is applied to consume products required for scheduled work orders. Since this feature is linked to the service and maintenance process, it will also be understood in its own dedicated session. Since in this case we are creating an independent inventory use, we will now proceed with entering the line details manually. You can add a line either from the composite view or by navigating to the Lines tab using the Lines tab button. On the Lines tab, click on New Record to add a new line. If you are creating an inventory use against any requisition, the requisition line field will be automatically updated through that process. The line number is also auto-generated and by default starts from 10. Next, you need to select the locator, which identifies the storage location from which the product will be consumed. You will also notice a vendor field. This field indicates if the item is being consumed as a sample provided by a vendor. In case there is a business partner associated with this consumption, you can select it here. Since this is not required in our current case, we will leave it blank, noting that this field is only informational and does not have any functional dependency. Now, let's proceed to select our product. In the product field, we will take Redmi Note 10 as an example. Because this product has an attribute set instance linked, you need to open the attribute set instance form to select the appropriate attribute. Clicking on it will bring up the attribute set instance form. From here, you can either create a new attribute combination or select an existing one. For now, since we already have an available record, we will select the existing attribute and confirm by clicking OK. Next, we need to enter the quantity for consumption. In our case, we will consume 2 units of this product. The internal use quantity will automatically update based on the defined unit of measure, UOM. If you are using a converted unit of measure, the system will also display the corresponding quantity in the base unit of measure. You can also add a description on the Lines tab for each individual line. This is useful to specify the reason for consumption. For example, we can mention urgent need for project testing. Next, you need to select a charge, which determines how the transaction will be adjusted in costing and posting ledgers. For this demonstration, let us select inventory expense as the charge from the available options. Additional charges can also be configured and used as per business requirements. Once these details are entered, go ahead and save the line record. If you notice, the inventory use screen has a header panel containing important fields such as organization, warehouse, inventory use number, movement date, and document status. The header panel provides a quick overview of the transaction, and it remains visible even while working on the Lines tab, ensuring you always have access to key details. From this header panel, you also have access to the Document Action button, which is used to complete the transaction, and the Not Posted button, which is used for posting the record to ledgers. Now that we have saved the line, let's proceed to complete the record. To do this, simply click on the Complete button from the header panel and click OK to confirm. Once completed, the record becomes read-only, and the consumed quantity is automatically reduced from the selected warehouse. At this point, you can return to the Header tab. The final step is to post the transaction so that it is recorded in the ledger accounts. To do this, click on the Not Posted button, confirm by clicking OK, and the document will be successfully posted. Next, click on the Posted button to review the ledger entries generated for this transaction. Here, you can see how the posting has been recorded. By default, the charge account is debited, and the product asset account is credited. These are the standard entries created when posting an inventory use transaction. If you notice any discrepancies, you also have the option to repost the entries after making necessary corrections. With this, we have completed the posting process for inventory use. Now let's move back to the landing page to verify whether the mosaics have been updated. As you can see, all the filter mosaics are now updated. You can use these mosaics to quickly filter and access your documents. Simply click on any hyperlink within a mosaic, and the system will display the corresponding records. Move back again to the landing page by clicking on the hyperlink. You can also use the advanced search mosaic, which works in the same way to filter and locate records. This concludes our demonstration of the inventory use process within the Onfinity system. We have seen how to create a new record, add transaction details, complete and post the document, and finally review the updated mosaics on the landing page. With this, you should now have a clear understanding of how inventory use transactions are created, processed, and tracked. Now that we have completed the hands-on walkthrough in the system, let's move on to the presentation. Our next topic is the inventory use mosaics, which we have already explored during the demonstration. From the Create View mosaic, we can directly view all records or create a new one. The Advanced Search mosaic allows us to apply filters, while Warehouse and Document Status mosaics help us narrow down documents more precisely. We can also open the Material Issue form directly from its mosaic. And finally, we have analytical charts, such as the top 10 products expiring in 30 days and the top 10 highest stock products, that give us a clear snapshot for analysis. Thank you for attending. That's all for today. If you have any further questions, please feel free to reach out.